Very good morning, church. It's good to be back. Talk about fires of revival. During the worship, I tasted a bit of that in this place. I don't know, I just sense this church is very special. I really tasted the presence of God just now during the worship. Very beautiful. So I'm sure when you gather on Wednesday nights, there'll be more of that. And even when I look at your name, I can't believe you're only 5-year-old. Risen Christian. I don't know. I just sense that it's like the fire rising. It's just that kind of feeling. Sometimes you just cannot explain everything. Yeah, but excited for you what God is going to do in the days to come. Today I'm going to talk about marriage. But so I entitled a simple title: 5 C's to a Strong Marriage. But I'm sure as Singaporeans, some years ago we like to talk about the 5 C's. The 5 C's of success. What are the 5 C's of success? Cash, car, condo, credit card, club membership, and the list go on. The danger sometimes I feel is that we use things. No, actually, we use people, but love things. We should be loving people and use things. We have beautiful houses, but broken homes. Very beautiful. The things inside the house are all very pretty. But if you look at the relationship, very painful sometimes. Not sure you remember COVID. I think all of us forgotten already. Only 3 years ago, COVID. And of course, where it started, somewhere in China. Of course, other people say other parts of the world, but I think we know mainly China. We were just watching it, didn't know they would spread to Singapore so fast. Of course, in the early days when it happened, you know what the Chinese people are thinking, the Chinese government, what they were thinking? They say, okay, it is a bad thing, but I think there may be something good that will come out of it. I think, if families stay together in the house, cannot come out, married couples stay together, cannot come out, maybe there'll be more babies. Make babies, right? You lock a couple in the hotel room, lock them at home, because China needs more children. TFR problem, not enough babies. So they were waiting for a baby explosion. But instead, within 2 months, if you look at the next slide, within 2 months, instead of a baby boom, it became a divorce explosion. People queuing up. Each time they go out of the house, they think they can buy food. They will buy food, right? They go out of the house, they go to the agency, they go to the government authority and say, I want a divorce. I spent too much time together. So interesting. It didn't happen the way we expected. When families come together, married couple come together. Of course, I believe one group will be very happy because they really want to spend time together. There's another group that say, I can't wait to get out of the house. Don't want to see you anymore. You think that it's only happening in some other countries, but it's also not happening here. If the next slide. Within a few months, the Focus of Family decided to do a survey. 2020, so this was just a few months into the COVID. Still early days. As you can see, daily interactions with spouse, 37% not talking, which is quite a lot, 30-40% not talking. 6% completely different lives, same house but different rooms. See each other but never talk to each other. Never do things together. Conversations with spouse, lacking. 7% say cold. And then love tank. Love tank is empty. If we don't have enough love in us, how to give love to another person? Very draining. And conflicts, of course, 15% uncomfortable to talk about it, sweep everything under the carpet, and having harsh arguments most of the time. I remember talking to a couple that reached out to me. They wanted to reach out to me because of their children, 2 children. So after listening to them explain to me what is happening to one of the teenage child, I said, I think I can recommend a counselor. After talking about another child, I said, I think I can recommend a psychologist. But then ultimately I asked both of them, how is your marriage? I know you come here because of problems with your children. But how is your marriage? And the reply was, normal? I said, what do you mean normal? Just like other couples. I said, what do you mean just like other couples? I pressed in, I want to find out more, right? And it's a quarrel once in a while. So the man was hoping that I will stop there and don't ask any more questions. But I continued to ask the next question, how often? And the reply was, 3-4 times a week. I said, that's not normal. You mean that's not normal? I said, no. 3-4 times a week is a new normal. It's not normal. So I advised them, instead of looking at your children, maybe you should start to restore your marriage. The 5 C's, let's start with the first C. Complementary. Very simple, very basic, but hopefully we take something away today. What is complementary? You know, when God created heavens and the earth, the sky and the land, the birds of the air and the animals, the waters and the land, it's all complementary. And finally, of course, created man and woman. It's meant to complement. Complement means combining in such a way as to enhance or emphasize the qualities of each other. Meaning, it's better to sometimes say, oh, you're so different from me. Actually, that's a good thing. Complement. Your strength is my weakness. Your weakness may potentially, I have strength that can cover your weakness. My wife is very good in administration, with finance. So whenever people call me for insurance, I say, talk to my wife. When they talk about investment, I talk to my wife. But in a cell group, I'm the leader. I led cell group for many years. My wife would be, what the people call my wife, my cell members call my wife Kopi So. Kopi So, Kopi So, Kopi. You know, the tea lady. Because hospitality is a gift. She will stay behind me, complimenting me, taking care of the cell members. I will be the one leading the cell group, doing all the leadership stuff. Even though she, in the marketplace, she is equivalent to a director level, but somehow at home, just support the husband. Wonderful. We complement each other. Very important. You know, I always give this passage to newly married couples because it's the passage that I used for my marriage many years ago. It's from Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 to 12. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for the labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? So 1 may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. So you see, complementing, coming together, supporting each other. You fall down, I lift you up. I'm cold, you keep me warm. I can't defend myself. Together we can fight. Complementing. I always give this passage because it has worked for me over 30 over years in marriage life. Now, let me explain a bit more about complementary. Let's look at the next slide. Male and female, husband and wife, father and mother. That's why God created male and female, Adam and Eve, male and female, husband and wife. We're supposed to complement. Of course, nowadays, doesn't matter, right? Gender doesn't matter, sex doesn't matter. But it does matter. Maybe ask a question. Who do you think is the weaker sex? Man or woman? I know some men want to say woman, but dare not say. Okay, everybody can say, Woman, okay. Oh, okay. Who say woman? Raise a hand. Oh, they don't raise a hand. Who say man is the weaker sex? Who say man? Okay, let me give you my answer. Okay, then don't throw eggs at me. Man is the weaker sex. You know why? I give you 3 reasons. First reason, because I was a prison officer before, so I spent many years in the prisons. Prison officer, not prisoner. I interact with a lot of men. Do you know that? Then I travel overseas, I go to other countries, I see their prisons, I learn from them, you know. Do you know that out of 10 prisoners, 9 are men? We always get ourselves into trouble. But interestingly, when I went to Ministry of Social and Family Development, I was in charge of all the children's homes, the youth at risk, the boys' home, the girls' home, and I realized that the statistics that show that boys and girls get into the trouble about the same, no? As many boys get into trouble like girls, no? You know, I think nowadays, I also don't know why. Last time when the boys go and fight, the girls will sit there, look pretty. watch the boyfriend fight. Now, the girls also ride motorbike and fight themselves. Anything you can do, I also can do. I can do better. But as they grow up, the girls, the ladies, as they mature, they will stop doing it. Whereas the men somehow keep going and more join them, and they get worse and worse, go back into prison again, cannot get out of the gangs, cannot get out of drugs. They are stuck. Interesting. Girls will mature out of it. So that's the first reason. More men get into trouble than women. This proof. Second reason. When my wife was giving birth to my first child, Sarah, I was next to her. Thank God I was able to be next to her. And fortunately, I was wearing a long sleeve jumper or something, a pullover. You know why? Because she was scratching me. Oh, cannot take it. Jason cannot take it. Like Jurassic Park, you know? Yeah, next to a dinosaur scratching. I said because it was cold, so I wear the pullover. And then when I saw her going through childbirth, I said, thank God I'm not a woman. A man who wants to take over the childbirth role? I think God has chosen a stronger gender to give birth to children. Third reason. If men can do everything by ourselves, why did God create a helper? It only shows that we cannot do everything that God has designed men to do. We need help. That's why when Adam was created, God gave Adam Eve to come alongside. But then the problem is, how come man cannot rise up to be all that man is supposed to be? Man is always stuck. Every country I go to, men, it's always mothers taking over, mothers taking on. Men are passive, drunk, gambling, alcohol. Whether it's in the city, in the farmland, same problem. How come men cannot rise up? I think it's the woman's fault. Outside CEO, come home CEO. Outside compete, come home also compete. Outside control. Of course, outside is a horrible place. You have to fight with all the men and the toxic masculinity. But come home also do the same. Okay. I'm not saying that who is stronger, who is weaker. I think I'm basically telling you the same problem. It's not controlling each other. It's not competing each other. It's not coming against each other. It's complementary. We come together. That's why God created Adam. Not to fight each other, not to control each other, not to harm each other, but to support each other. I think that is the part that many marriages fail. The other thing about complementary is this. Mother, father. Mothering and fathering. Different. That's why, ultimately, if we are able to complement, who benefits the most? Of course, both married couples will benefit. The one that benefit the most are the children. If we fight, if we control, if we compete, children suffer. If we complement, children will benefit. That's why God created man and woman for children. Adam and Eve, husband and wife, father and mother, for the sake of... No, marriage is the only institution that separates one generation from the next generation. There are many social institutions. A government is an institution. Talk about institution. There are many institutions, but the only institution which is the institution of marriage is the one that connects one generation to the next generation. If this institution is messed up, children will not receive the good that is passed down from generation to generation. In fact, it gets worse and worse and worse. That's why Satan attacks marriage. If they can attack marriage, the next generation will suffer. Now let me explain fathering and mothering, because I was involved in Dads for Life, Elijah 7000, so I know why fathers are important. Mothers are also important, don't get me wrong. Both are important. That's why complement. It's like sunlight and water. You cannot say, not enough sunlight, can I add more water? Doesn't quite work that way. If I don't have enough water, can I add more sunlight? Cannot. Not replaceable. Of course, now the world is telling you 2 mothers also can, 2 fathers also can. Cannot. Of course, many loving adults, even better. 3 loving adults, 4 loving adults, I think that's okay. But father and mother is not replaceable. Half my DNA come from my mom. Half my DNA come from my dad. I need to know who, the identity, right? Okay, let me explain using research. Playing with children, protecting our children, fathers and mothers do it quite differently. Play with children. Let's start with play. Mothers buy toys. Fathers are the toys. See, straight away, different already. A child goes to the zoo, come back and say, Mom, I want to ride on a horse. It was fun. Mommy said, Ayah, don't make noise. Tomorrow I buy you a toy horse. If fathers are around, what would the father say? I'm the horse. Ride on me. No need to buy toy horse. Not easy to be a father. Now Avengers, Spider-Man, Superman. Except Wonder Woman, that's the mother's job. Of course, some mothers are very gung-ho. I'm also horse. But generally, you want to roll on the grass, climb the tree. I think usually the dad will be the one doing it. Usually, not all the time. Men also, not like before already nowadays. What about protecting children? Play with children, protect children. Also different mothering and fathering. Protect children, if you look at the slide, mothers like to say, don't run, you fall down, don't run. Don't climb so high, you fall down, come down. Don't throw, you break something. Can you please sit down, don't move? Very protective. Nothing wrong. Moms like to protect the children, right? So that they don't hurt themselves. What do fathers say? If fathers are around. Run faster, chase, come, let's climb, don't worry, I'll catch you, go higher, come. Throw harder. Mommy not here, break something, never mind. Now, does it mean fathers don't protect children? Always take risks? Hurt the child? No, because mothering and fathering are different. Mothers protect children now, making sure the child doesn't hurt himself, herself now. Fathers protect children by preparing them for the future. Our boys to men is the father's job. The world is a scary place. We need to prepare them to face the challenges. Because if we always protect, cannot do this, cannot do that, cannot fail, then when the first failure they see, they can't take it. So mothers being protective is you're wired like that, but fathers need to be there and say, don't worry, I will bring the child out. Don't worry, he won't fall one. Even if he fall, I'll catch him. Don't worry. Don't worry, I'm here. Don't worry, see, I catch him, right? Then, boom, no. When the fathers do it properly, yeah. You know, when my son was, I can't swim. I can't swim. My dad have 8 children to raise. Didn't have a chance to teach me how to swim. Then, of course, my third brother, he's the more delinquent guy, He like to go out and play, So he said he's going to go swimming. So I said, Mom, can I go? Mom, can I go? Cannot. Why cannot? I need to learn how to swim. National service, next time. Cannot. He won't look after you. You're going to die. So never learn, Until 17, 18 years old, JC, NS coming. Then I was in the March batch, because the December batch, there's a batch that went in first. In those days, we had 2 batches, December and March. So they went in, come out, I was waiting for my March. I was trying to learn how to swim. But then I heard that this guy, he doesn't know how to swim. He jumped in the pool, struggle for 50 meters. In fact, struggle for 10 or 20 meters, he broke his arm. And I saw him, my schoolmate. I said, I'm going to end up like that, I better go learn how to swim. So go to a swimming pool, public swimming pool. What do I do? How do I learn? I just watch, memorize the pattern. Freestyle, not easy. Breaststroke easier. Pool, cake, come out, breathe. Then go in, breathe out. Okay, I think I memorize. Then I go into the water, then I try. Drink all the water. By the time I go NS, I learned only for 2 months. Cannot. So go NS, die. They have this exercise. Everybody jump into the pool, swim for 50 meters. So I know, because from this friend, he said, you don't jump in the middle. If you can, you jump at the side, so you can hold on to the side. So that's what I did. Everybody queue up. 50 meters, I'm not going to make it, so maybe they won't see me, Jump in, I was like, I go in the water, I bluff a bit, then I come out, I managed to so-called pass. But then, become officer. Got to jump down from jetty. But they give you a life jacket. If you hold your breath long enough, you will come out, don't die. But the fear, And then the best part is, when cross-channel swim, almost got sucked into the kelong. And then, of course, they always say, they fall in everybody 3 rows, right? Okay, now, who can't really swim? Raise your hand, come on, admit yourself, who can't really swim? 3 of us. And then what's going to happen? The officer said, okay, now, white tape, go and tie. Tie white tape, guys, you remember white tape or not? I don't know, all can swim, so good. Tie white tape means you can tie on your helmet white tape, tie on your web white tape. Everybody wear green, then there's the 3 guys with white tape sticking out. Because when you jump in the water, the commander cannot see, right? Only see who's the white tape. White tape, white tape, white tape, 1, 2, 3, still alive. White tape, the 3rd one go down. Can search for the guy with the white tape. So embarrassing in front of all the guys. Thanks to my mom, protect me. So instead of protecting me, she was actually hurting me without knowing. I mean, I don't blame her, right? And then my father wasn't around to teach me how to swim. He was too busy working and raised 8 children. So, come to the time, I got 1 daughter, 1 son. I make sure my son know how to swim. And then one time we were in Sri Lanka on a family holiday. Then there was this group of young people. They said, come, let's go there and jump down, jump down. My wife said, cannot. He's only 11 years old, cannot. I said, better let him go. Next time he blame me if I don't let him go. So when my son, one by one, the older one, then of course my son, 11 years old, the youngest. While my wife was shivering, I said, come on, you can do it. Wow, when he jumped in, I was so happy. I think officer caliber already. So the complementary role, one, don't be open. Have you heard of mommy's boy? Good thing or bad thing? Actually, not a very good thing. Mommy's boy. I'm mentoring fathers now, men. Many of them are grown men, inside still a boy. Because the father weren't there to bring them, to model, to show them the world, to take risks. So that's the first C, complement. Both are important. Keep the marriage strong, complement each other, children will benefit. The second C is Christ, the cross. Even from the same passage, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 to 12, at the last verse, that's the key verse. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. 2, one is not so good, 2 are better, can help each other, right? Complement each other. But 3. Now, this is not the third party. Not about having a third party, having an extramarital affair. No, this third strand is Jesus. If you go for premarital counseling or marriage prep courses, they will always show you this diagram. The triangle. You remember? Right? Okay, a reminder. And then for those of you who haven't seen it before, it's a good thing to look at it. Let's say Jesus is standing here. Husband is there. Wife is there. For the husband and the wife, for the marriage to become closer and stronger, it's not so much asking the husband and the wife to walk towards each other, to get closer to each other. No, it's come to Jesus. If the husband walk closer to Jesus, the wife walk closer to Jesus, if they become more and more like Jesus, the marriage will become stronger. That's the meaning of that triangle. Come to the cross, come to Jesus. Now let me share this verse with you. The first couple, Adam and Eve, the first married couple, what was the first advice given to the first couple? The first advice. I mean, if, let's say, someone getting married, they say, what advice can you give me to have a strong marriage? So God also gave the first couple advice, even though they didn't ask for it. The first advice is here. I mean, many people have preached on it, many books have been written on it, but this is what the Lord taught me. This advice. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the Lord commanded the man, you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's the advice given. In fact, it's a commandment. It's a warning. I mean, I use a nice term like advice. Do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But the problem is that even Christians, we like to hang around the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We like to walk around, we like to live our life around the tree of the knowledge of good and evil instead of the tree of life. God always said, don't go there. Husband and wife, don't go there. Let me explain in the next slide. Tree of knowledge of good and evil, good versus bad, right versus wrong, right and wrong, good and bad. I'm the good guy, you are the bad guy, you're wrong, I am right, I'm always right, you are... You realize that when married couples argue, it's always who is right, who is wrong. Even when people argue, it's always who is right, who is wrong. Or who is good guy, who is the bad guy. Let me explain this. There was a couple that reached out to me. In fact, the husband was the one that reached out to me. Young father, one child. When I first met him, he said, people asked me to talk to you. I said, what happened? A few months ago, I committed adultery, extramarital affair. I said, oh dear, how's your marriage? Then he said, thankfully, my wife forgave me. Are you seeking any help? I said, yeah, we are undergoing counseling. How is it going? Okay, my wife forgave me. But I thought I may need a mentor, another father figure to guide me. I said, sure, I can walk with you. So the first meeting, it was quite an okay thing, right? I mean, they fell and then now they are restoring the marriage. Second meeting, good development. The third time we met, you know what he said? Cannot stand it, my wife. I said, what happened? I want to move on, but she cannot move on. She keep bringing up all the things. I said, but not easy, right? Not easy to move on, right? Because you have hurt her. Yeah, but I really want to move on. Then I said, stop. And I showed him the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I explained it to him. Do you know that you're hanging around here? First meeting, you're the bad guy, right? You committed adultery. First meeting, you're the bad guy when you meet me the first time. She's a good guy, she forgave you. You did the wrong thing. She did the right thing to forgive you. You did the wrong thing to cheat on her. He said, yeah. Do you know that this is the third meeting? You become the good guy. You want to move on, she becomes the bad guy. She cannot move on. You are stuck here. Then he said, oh yeah. The first advice given to the first couple, please take that advice from God. Then he said, what's the solution? Well, go to the tree of life. The tree of life, which is the cross, there's forgiveness. There's acceptance, there's healing, there's redemption. When I did the Yellow Ribbon Project, the Yellow Ribbon is actually a message of forgiveness, acceptance, reconciliation, second chance. There's unconditional love. Do you know that the first time when you did wrong, your wife forgave you, it was from the tree of life? But you are dragging her back to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Who is right, who is wrong? Stay here. Which means, if I have been hurt, I need healing. Where do I find healing? Not here. I need to find healing here. I go to Jesus for healing. I go to the cross for healing. I don't go to my husband or my wife for healing. They cannot give me that. Only the cross can give me healing and restoration. But if I have hurt another person, I've committed adultery, I have beaten up my wife or whatever, what do I need now? I need forgiveness. The cross will give me forgiveness. I have to repent before the Father, the Son. Of course, I need to ask my wife for forgiveness, but this is... Do you know the prodigal son story? The younger son, the younger brother did the wrong thing, right? He did the wrong thing, right? But when he came back to the father, you know what he did? I've sinned against heaven and against you. He said, sorry, here. Please forgive me. The father was here, right? The father forgave him, right? But where was the elder brother? How can you forgive him? How can you celebrate? He did all the wrong thing. I'm the good guy. I stay here with you. I never leave. And I get nothing. He was the bad guy. He did all the wrong thing. And you reward him. Father is not right. He cannot be forgiven. I will not forgive him. The elder brother, in a marriage, we all need to be here. But sometimes we fall into trouble being an elder brother. I will never forgive you. Then sometimes we become the younger brother. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. Come here. But then, of course, when I look at this, I was just wondering, actually not fair. Then the younger brother committed all the wrong. The older brother did the good thing, Never left the father, worked very hard. In fact, probably take on the role that the younger brother was supposed to do and work very hard in the family business. Younger brother, how can he be let off so easily? Right? Sometimes we have that justice thing, right? How can we forgive someone like that, Because when he fell, I have to take on all the roles. I have to take on motherhood, I have to take on fatherhood, I have to take on everything. So where is the solution? When there's sin, there must be a price. The wages of sin is death, right? So, must be punished, right? When we do wrong, it must be punished, right? But that's the purpose of the cross. That we need a sacrifice. Jesus sacrificed for us. If you look at the next verse, I found it, I found in the prodigal son story. When the father said, bring the fattened calf and kill it. When I read it all the time, I always thought, oh, it's celebration time. Actually, it's sacrifice time. The father sacrificed. Basically, the sins of the son was put on the fattened calf. And the sin was washed. That's why the father can forgive the younger brother. But the elder brother couldn't come to the cross. If Jesus has died for my sin, I shouldn't be stuck here. I should actually go to the cross and say, if God can forgive you, I can forgive you. If Jesus died for your sin, who am I to say that you are not forgiven? So this is the advice, and I pray that married couples, family can take this advice. This is the first advice given to the first couple, but for thousands of years, we have failed to heed the advice. Next slide, let me show you my own family. And I'm not perfect. Sometimes I struggle between here. What's wrong with my wife, But I need to come here. God, you love her. You want me to love her, right? This is a photo taken a few years ago. My son is now taller than me. Let me tell you what happened between my wife and I one time. With her permission, I will share. We work very tired sometimes, in office. Sometimes we get frustrated. And one time I was attending a meeting. I wasn't chairing. If I chair, I probably would not go so bad. But I wasn't chairing. I was attending a meeting, and I was so angry, It wasn't going the way that I wanted. I almost wanted to bang table and walk out. I'm not sure if we felt that way at work. Frustrated. But I'm a nice guy. I don't bang table. So you don't bang table, what do? You bottle up everything inside. And then when you come home, you need to let it out. There are two ways to let it out. One way is shout, quarrel, scream, Then everybody is affected because of our frustration and anger. The other way is to, like me, just watch TV. Men are attracted to boxes. iPod, iPad, refrigerator, computer, games, newspaper. We are attracted to boxes. Somehow I sat in front of my television box and I felt so good because I was watching my favorite show at the time, American Idol. Especially the first few episodes. Cannot sing, want to sing, cannot dance, want to dance. I laugh, I relax. Then I can forget about my work. Then my wife came out of the room and said, come home, watch TV. Never helped. By the time my two children were younger. Come home, watch TV. Always come home, watch TV. But I don't want to tell my wife all my work problems. She said, come home, never do anything. I said, what? Never do anything. I'm watching TV. When your smartphone run out of battery, what do? You charge, right? You hook it up, you let it sit there, and you wait. So I was sitting there waiting to be recharged. Right? Just I cannot see the wire between me and the TV only. So that night, quarrel, never talk to each other. So I also don't want to burden my wife with all my work problems. I meant well, I really don't want to share. I just want to keep it to myself. Right? She has enough problems of her own. Next day, went back to work, did my rounds, did my duty, then went back to my office, look at my computer, switch it on, clear my email, clear. How come my wife sent me email for what? Want to talk, go home and talk. Why send me email? No choice, I got to click, long email. Jason, yesterday, you come home, you watch TV, my day was so busy, I did this, I did that, I have to bring my mother to see doctor, blah, 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 and you come home, watch TV, never help me. Blah, 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 blah. And when I was reading it, you know what? I was justifying myself, I was here. You think you're a good guy? I'm also a good guy, right? I also have a terrible day, right? You have a terrible day, I don't have a terrible day, I also have a terrible day. In fact, I don't want to burden you. I love you, that's what I want to tell you. Watch TV also cannot, man. I was preparing to craft a reply, Then I heard a voice. Don't you dare. I said, God, watch TV also cannot. Then what I heard God, I was talking to God, and God said, you should have come to me, not your television. I said, that's true. If I got a problem with my marriage, I should go to God, right? I shouldn't go to the television and expect the television to solve my problem. And then God reminded me, I thought you want to be a good husband, you want to be a good father, you see all the prisoners. When I see all the prisoners, I know what happens when fathering and marriage break down, it end up like that. And I told God, even before I got married, I will be a good husband after I get married. I will be a good father. And then when it comes to the crux, so I didn't send the reply, even though I drafted in my head. What I did was, I took out my smartphone, I typed, I'm sorry, I will never watch TV again, send. After I pressed, I regretted straight away. Cannot take back, Because the last time you post letter, you can stand outside and say, hey, postman, sorry. Okay, well, before I take back this letter, okay? You okay? I have something to change inside. Press button, now cannot take back. Because the smart Jason Wong, the rational Jason Wong, I should have said I will never watch so much TV again. Or I will never watch American Idol again. Then I can watch other things, right? How come I said I never watch TV again? I went to withdrawal. But God led me to the last paragraph of her email. I read it 3-4 times. She said, Jason, everybody knows you. Everybody thinks you are a hero. You did Yellow Ribbon Project, you did this. But how you are at home, nobody knows. Watch TV only, not so bad, but still. And then she said, even when we quarrel, I have no one to talk to. I said, have what? She has her cell members, she has her family members, she can tell them what. And then she ended by saying, I do not want to tell them any of our problems because I do not want you to look bad in front of them. My wife was protecting my reputation. So Pastor Sabrina just now said all the nice things about me, all the 4-5 movements, and many other things. Let me tell you what my wife will tell you if you talk to her. And so I said that in my office. I was a CEO. I got this outside my office. I locked my door because I repented. I cried inside my office. And then this was what the Lord showed me in the next slide. Loud and clear. I couldn't find it in the Bible. It sounded like a Bible verse. No point being a hero outside, Jason, and a zero at home. So that night when I went home, I didn't tell my wife I missed out a few words. I stopped watching TV. And as a result, I have more time. Some nights, if I'm less busy, I have more time, then I started to spend time with my son, with my daughter. And then during one Father's Day, my son gave me this Father's Day card. I just blew it up. He very cheapskate, never buy card, but he threw it on the post-it pad. I love you card on Father's Day. Next slide. Thank you for reading to me storybooks. Then next slide. Thank you for telling me scary ghost stories. And let me explain. Pastor said, how can you tell ghost stories, Jason? This is terrible, I thought you're a Christian leader. Let me explain, because young people, especially his age, they love to read all these story books. So instead of buying for him, I must well tell him. You know why? Let me explain. He will say, Daddy, don't start first. Let me switch off the light. Then he'll go and switch off the light. Then he'll come back to the bed. He cover both of us with a blanket and say, okay, go. And then as I tell my own stories, it gets scarier and scarier. He will hug me tighter and tighter. What's next, Dad? What's next? Then, of course, the end point is that Jesus came and the angels came and chased all the ghosts away. Next slide. And of course, he said, thank you for teaching me my subjects. I'm not very good at it, but he remembered. It's not how much you do, but it's what your children remember you doing. And of course, the next slide. Daddy, thank you for being a good father and organizing the father and child movement, the Dads for Life movement, the Elijah 7000. It benefited him. And of course, the best gift to give to our child is to love the mother or the father of the child. Keep the marriage strong. Our children benefit. Next. I'm only at 3, checklist. Okay. So first C is complementary. Second C is Christ, the cross, the tree of life. Third C is checklist. We all need checklists. Let me show you the checklist that I recommend from the Bible. 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. Let's read this together. 1, 2, 3. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not honor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. God is love. God is love. So this word love, you can actually replace with the name of a person. Let me show you how I do it. Next slide. My wife is Donna. So Donna is patient. Donna is kind. Donna does not envy. Donna does not boast. Donna does not dishonor. Donna is not easily angered. Donna keeps no record around. So can you imagine, I use this checklist. Every end of the day, I check on my wife. Was she kind to me today? Oops, I think God is punishing me. Is she easily angered today? Last week, failed. No, it's not for you to use it on your spouse. Next slide. Use it on yourself. At the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, just before the marriage anniversary, you say, has Jason been patient with my wife? Has Jason been kind to Donna? Has Jason dishonored her? Have I been self-seeking? Am I easily angered? Do I protect my wife? You know, simple example, even patience or kindness. Some months back, a young couple were asking a few of us oldies, just married, this young couple, just married. Do you know the question they asked? Do you use one blanket or two blankets? It never crossed my mind. I said, one blanket or two blankets? Is there an issue with a married couple? I say, yeah. I'm so used to one blanket, my own blanket, and now we have to share a blanket, and then keep pulling, cannot sleep at night. I said, then two blankets, no? Solve the problem. No lah, two blankets, the two shall become one, right? How come we have two? We're supposed to have one blanket share. You're so troublesome. Anyway, my problem is not with blankets. I use a cube, but my problem is not with blanket. My problem is the aircon. I cannot take cold. My wife cannot take hot. So when it gets too hot, she will wake up in the middle of the night, switch on the aircon. Then after half an hour, it becomes too cold. Then I will wake up, so cold, I'll be shivering. Then I'll go and get the aircon, I will switch it off. Then after that, an hour, it gets too hot, then she will switch on the aircon. The most frustrating part is that in the middle of the night, I don't want to switch on the lights, because sometimes I don't know where she put the aircon. Can you put it back in the same place? I don't know where she put it. Then in the middle, I cannot switch on the light because I don't want to wake her up. Then knock my leg here. Ouch. Test of my patience. Test of my kindness. But I will remember, I think, Jason, just be kind. Don't wake her up. Go and look for your aircon controller. Just switch it off. Go back to sleep. Keep quiet. Solution? Patience, kindness. But the best solution is two aircon controller. Design the problem away, argue for what, right? Do you know that this about not easily, or keep no record of wrongs, not easy. You 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, there's a lot of record of wrongs if you want to keep. There was one time I was asked to talk to an older couple, relatives. I don't know why they all look for me. I was a young guy, so they think I'm the super counselor. So I went. So the wife is near the window in the kitchen. The husband is near the main door, about to leave the family and leave the house. So I was running back and forth. I said, wife, what's the problem? I'm sure you can solve this, right? Then she said, he never buy me flowers. He never buy me flowers. I said, when was that? Is it recent Valentine? No, don't know what, 10 years, 20 years ago. Never, he forgot to buy me flowers. I said, okay, I'll tell him. Your wife said, you never buy her flowers. She never asked me, she never tell me what. I said, oh, that's true. He said, you never tell, never tell. He should know. He loves me, he should know. If he doesn't know, means he doesn't love me. I said, that's also true. He said, you should know. I said, how do I know? I cannot read her mind. I gave up. They were running around the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right and wrong, who is good, who is bad, who is right, who is wrong, who remembers. She was keeping record of the wrong for 10 years. I don't know, maybe I should have referred them to another C, which is a counselor. There's this verse that say, does not delight in evil. You'll be wondering, cannot be lah. We will probably be a bit impatient, be a bit unkind, be a bit self-seeking, maybe get angry a bit. What do you mean by evil? How can anybody do evil to their spouse? This morning, wake up, I do my usual thing, read newspapers, a bit earlier. What I saw was this. I'm not sure whether you have read the article. Wife sharing, rape, alcohol and domicum drugs, to the point that the wife can die, it was so self-seeking, so evil, and then sharing the wife with other men. I was like, what is this group of men doing? Didn't they say any vow? Didn't they say any? And then it was like for 9 years, 2010 to 2018. And the man is 42 years old now. That means at the age of 32, or even earlier, 30, he started. That means they only married for 3, 4, 5 years. And he started abusing the wife and harming the wife. And anyway, maybe it will never happen to all of us, but it is happening out there. Marriage is not just breaking down, it's just not simple conflict. It is really evil. Then this one say, always protects. I say, why are these men not protecting their wife? They are harming their wives. That's why I say man is the weaker sex. Next C is community. The group of men came together thinking of how to harm their wives. But I think we need to come together how to strengthen our marriage. We can't do it alone. During a marriage, I've been attending people's weddings nowadays. And then what happened? You are invited, right? Have you attended a wedding in the last 12 months? Right? You go there, Why are you invited to a wedding? Give ang pao, of course, must give ang pao. What else? Eat buffet, of course. Take photo, of course. Queue up, your turn will come. What is the real purpose of inviting people to go to a church wedding? Celebrate, yeah? So that you will be a witness. So that when they say the vow, you witness. And when they have a child, when they are doing well, you come alongside, well done. Jason, your marriage is going strong. 30 years ago, remember, I was attending your marriage in this church. And you say the vow, wow, thank God, man, you keep at it. Well done. But if I quarrel with my wife, the same people who witnessed that vow must come to me and say, Jason, what's wrong with you? How come? I thought you said the vow. Remember the vow? You can't remember. Let me show you. You see, got photo somewhere. You see, I captured your wedding photo, You said it in front of all of us, and now what are you doing? The community is meant to celebrate when there's a high and to come alongside and encourage when there's a low. That's the real meaning of the community. Of course, ang pao must give. Because now very costly, must give more, some more. Next slide. So community. And that's why I was involved in starting the Elijah 7,000. You can have married couples community, you can have mothers community, you can have a men's community. But for me, I think the fathers community is something that God put on my heart. Come together. Do you know that the fathers here, okay, not in this group, okay, maybe in the one, the Zoom one, the big one. This was during Zoom, so even COVID cannot stop us. We will come together, support each other, encourage each other. Some of the things you cannot tell your wife, come and talk to us. You don't know what to do, maybe someone else have done something that has worked, maybe he can share his experience, his testimony. There's at least a couple of them who actually divorced, but they remarry after coming together in this father community. Total change. There's a father, actually quite a few. When they come, they just wanted to change the son. I come here so that I can pray, and then God will change my son. After he prayed, God changed him. He went home a different husband, a different father. Community. Now on the 24th of June, we're going to gather the fathers again. The first time we gathered was 700 fathers. Now COVID is over, we're going to gather again. And I believe your pastors are going to disseminate the info. Maybe 2 weeks' time when I come back and share, I will also remind the fathers here. And last C, covenant. The marriage vow is a covenant, not a contract. I think we all know that, but sometimes we forget. The next slide. I like this. I learned it from somebody else. Marry the one you love, but also love the one you marry. So whenever young couples, now my daughter is going to get married, soon, I say, hey, I know you're going to marry the one you love, but 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, you need to love the one you marry. The most beautiful marriage vow that I have witnessed, is which one? Not a young couple saying the marriage vow for the first time in front of everybody in the church. The most beautiful marriage vow that I have witnessed was by an old couple in their 70s, almost 80 years old, celebrating the Golden Jubilee, 50th year of marriage. They invited friends and, so I was privileged. My wife and I were there, in a hotel, and not having a dinner. And then they went up the stage. The MC asked them to come off the stage, and they said, now this couple celebrating their 50th anniversary would like to recite the marriage vow again. I said, wow. So the wife said, for better or for worse, in sickness or in health, for richer or for poorer, until death do us part. I can sense around the tears started to fall already. Then the husband said, looking at the wife, in sickness or in health, for richer or for poorer, for better or for worse, till death do us part. When the husband said that, everybody started taking out tissue paper. You know why? Because the husband was looking at the wife wearing a wig, who was going through cancer, chemotherapy. And the husband said, for better or for worse, in sickness or in health, for richer or for poorer, till death do us part. I will not leave you. I love you. I will take care of you. I will cherish you. That was the most beautiful vow that I've heard. We don't give up on each other, even when things get tough. Last verse, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 31, 33. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother, be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. I highlighted the words in red. This is a profound mystery. But I'm talking about Christ and the church. I think many of us know the earthly marriage between man and woman is actually pointing to Christ and the church. And Christ never left the church. Christ is with the church now, and Christ is coming back for the church. And the earthly marriage is supposed to give people the confidence that Jesus never left us. Jesus will come back for us, for the bride. So when each time a marriage breaks, people will say, no, maybe Jesus is not real. Maybe Jesus is not with us. Maybe Jesus has given up on us. So the earthly marriage is a mystery, not a mess that we make of it sometimes. So if I can summarize, first C, complement each other, male and female, father and mother. Second C, Christ, the cross. Don't hang around the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right, wrong, what's wrong. Go to the tree of life. Go to Christ. A checklist. Use the checklist in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4-7. Use it on yourself, not on your spouse. Community, come together. If you're not in a community, join a community. If there isn't a community, form a community. Do it together. And of course, lastly, covenant. Just as Christ will not leave you, we must not give up on each other as well. Going to hand the time back to Pastor.